What if somewhere in the vastness of space, there was another Earth? Not a planet covered in lava, not a frozen wasteland, not a giant ball of gas larger than Jupiter, but a world with rocky mountains, vast oceans, clouds drifting across the sky, and perhaps life. For decades, astronomers have searched for a planet that truly resembles our own. Thousands of exoplanets have been discovered, yet almost all of them turned out to be too hot, too cold, too massive, or simply too hostile to support life as we know it. Then came one of the most exciting announcements in modern astronomy. NASA revealed the discovery of a distant world that immediately captured the imagination of scientists around the globe. A planet called Kepler 452b. The headlines were everywhere. The most Earth-like planet ever discovered. Earth's older cousin. A possible second home for humanity. But is Kepler 452b really another Earth? Or is the reality even more fascinating? To answer that question, we first have to travel more than 1,400 light-years away from our solar system. A distance so enormous that even light, the fastest thing in the universe, needs 14 centuries to complete the journey. Imagine leaving Earth today. Even traveling at the speed of the fastest spacecraft ever built, it would take tens of millions of years to get there. For now, Kepler 452b remains completely beyond our reach. And yet, scientists already know an incredible amount about it. The planet was discovered by NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, a mission designed with one purpose: to find planets orbiting other stars. Instead of taking beautiful photographs, Kepler patiently watched more than 150,000 stars for tiny changes in brightness. Whenever a planet passed in front of its star, it blocked a small fraction of the light. That tiny dip acted like a fingerprint. By measuring it over and over again, astronomers could determine the planet's size, its orbital period, and even estimate its distance from the star. It was one of the most successful scientific missions in history. Kepler confirmed that planets are everywhere. The Milky Way isn't filled with empty stars. It's filled with worlds. And among those countless discoveries, one stood out: Kepler 452b. At first glance, the similarities to Earth are remarkable. It orbits a star very similar to our Sun. That star is only slightly larger, slightly brighter, and slightly older than our own. Even more importantly, Kepler 452b travels through what astronomers call the habitable zone, often referred to as the Goldilocks zone. This is the region around a star where temperatures may allow liquid water to exist on a planet's surface. Not too hot, not too cold, but potentially just right. And as far as we know, liquid water is one of the essential ingredients for life. That single fact immediately made Kepler 452b one of the most exciting planets ever discovered. But there was another surprise. Kepler 452b takes about 385 Earth days to complete one orbit around its star. That's astonishingly close to Earth's 365-day year. Imagine standing on its surface. A sunrise, a sunset, the passing of seasons. A year that feels strangely familiar despite being on a world over 1,000 light-years away. Its star would appear only slightly brighter than our Sun. The sky, if the planet has an atmosphere, might even resemble something we could almost recognize. It's easy to understand why many people called it Earth's twin. But scientists are far more cautious. Because despite the similarities, there are also important differences. Kepler 452b is believed to be around 60% larger than Earth. That means its gravity could be significantly stronger. If the planet is rocky, simply walking across its surface might require much more effort than it does here. Mountains could rise higher. The atmosphere could be much thicker. And if intelligent life existed there, their bodies might have evolved in ways very different from ours. Then there's the age of the system. Kepler 452b's star is estimated to be roughly 6 billion years old. That's around 1.5 billion years older than our Sun. which raises an incredible possibility. If life ever developed on Kepler 452b, it may have had much more time to evolve. Think about that. When complex life first appeared on Earth, our planet was already billions of years old. If evolution followed a similar path on Kepler 452b, any civilization there could, in theory, be far older than humanity. Of course, we have absolutely no evidence that such a civilization exists. But the possibility is enough to ignite the imagination of scientists and dreamers alike. Because Kepler 452b reminds us of something extraordinary. Earth may not be unique. Somewhere among the hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy, there could be countless worlds where conditions resemble our own. Worlds waiting to be explored. Worlds waiting to tell their story. And perhaps Kepler 452b is only the beginning. But if Kepler 452b sounds almost identical to Earth, the reality may be far more complex. One of the biggest challenges facing astronomers is that we have never actually seen this planet directly. There are no close-up photographs, no images of continents, no oceans, no clouds drifting across its sky. Everything we know comes from tiny changes in the light of its parent star. It's like trying to describe an entire world from a shadow it casts. And yet, that tiny shadow has revealed some remarkable clues. Scientists estimate that Kepler 452b is about 1.6 times the diameter of Earth. That may not seem like a huge difference, but in planetary science, it's enormous. A slightly larger planet can have a completely different history. If Kepler 452b is rocky, its stronger gravity may have allowed it to hold onto a thick atmosphere for billions of years. That atmosphere could help regulate temperatures across the planet, much like Earth's atmosphere does today. Or it could create an extreme greenhouse effect, trapping enormous amounts of heat and transforming the planet into something far less hospitable. That's the problem. Right now, we simply don't know. Another mystery is the planet's composition. Is it truly a rocky world? Or could it be what astronomers call a mini Neptune? Some planets larger than Earth aren't solid at all. Instead, they're surrounded by deep layers of gas, making them completely unsuitable for life as we know it. Without directly studying Kepler 452b's atmosphere, scientists can't say for certain which category it belongs to. This uncertainty has sparked years of debate. Some researchers believe the odds favor a rocky planet. Others argue that it may be too large, making a gaseous composition more likely. Until more powerful telescopes can investigate it, the question remains unanswered. Then there's its star. At first glance, it seems reassuringly familiar. Like our sun, it's a yellow star. But there's one important difference. It's significantly older. Over billions of years, stars slowly become brighter. That means Kepler 452b may have received increasing amounts of energy throughout its history. Imagine Earth's future. As our own sun gradually grows brighter, scientists believe our oceans will eventually begin to evaporate. Temperatures will rise. The climate will change dramatically. Life, as we know it, may become impossible long before the sun reaches the end of its life. Could the same thing already be happening on Kepler 452b? If the planet once had vast oceans, perhaps they're slowly disappearing. If forests once covered its surface, maybe they no longer exist. Or perhaps life adapted. Evolution has a remarkable ability to surprise us. On Earth, organisms thrive in boiling hot springs, deep beneath the ocean, inside Antarctic ice, and even in highly acidic environments once thought completely uninhabitable. If life can survive under such extreme conditions here, who's to say it couldn't adapt on another world? This is exactly why Kepler 452b remains one of the most fascinating planets ever discovered. Not because we know it's another Earth, but because we don't. Every unanswered question makes it even more intriguing. Could there be continents stretching beneath alien skies? Towering mountain ranges shaped by stronger gravity? Massive oceans reflecting the light of an older sun? Or perhaps nothing at all? One day, future telescopes may finally analyze the planet's atmosphere in detail. They could search for water vapor, oxygen, methane, or other chemical signatures that might hint at biological activity. Those discoveries wouldn't prove alien life exists, but they would bring humanity closer than ever before to answering one of its oldest questions. Are we truly alone? Until then, Kepler 452b remains a world suspended between science and imagination. A distant planet that continues to challenge our understanding of what another Earth might really look like. And, perhaps, its greatest secret is still waiting to be discovered. But Kepler 452b isn't important only because it resembles Earth. Its discovery changed the way astronomers think about our place in the universe. Before planets like Kepler 452b were found, many scientists wondered whether Earth occupied an incredibly rare set of circumstances. Perhaps a rocky planet orbiting in the habitable zone of a sun-like star was an extraordinary accident. Perhaps worlds like ours were almost impossible to create. Then came the Kepler mission. Again and again it revealed something astonishing. Planets are everywhere. Small planets, large planets, hot planets, frozen planets, ocean worlds, gas giants, entire planetary systems unlike anything in our own solar system. Suddenly, Earth no longer looked like an exception. It looked like part of a much larger cosmic family. Kepler 452b became one of the strongest reminders that habitable environments may not be unique. Somewhere in the Milky Way, there could be thousands, perhaps millions, of rocky planets orbiting stars very similar to our Sun. Many of them may have existed for billions of years, long enough for oceans to form, long enough for continents to rise, long enough for life to appear. That realization transformed one of astronomy's biggest questions. Scientists no longer ask whether planets like Earth exist. Now they ask, how many are there? The numbers are almost impossible to imagine. Our galaxy alone contains around 100 to 400 billion stars. If only a small percentage possess Earth-sized planets within their habitable zones, there could still be billions of potentially suitable worlds. Billions. Even if only a tiny fraction of those planets actually developed life, the universe could still be filled with living worlds. Of course, potentially habitable doesn't necessarily mean inhabited. Mars once had rivers. Today, it's a frozen desert. Venus may have had oceans billions of years ago. Now its surface is hot enough to melt lead. The history of a planet depends on countless factors. Its atmosphere, its magnetic field, its geological activity, its star. Even a small change can completely alter its future. Kepler 452b is no exception. Scientists still don't know whether it has a magnetic field capable of protecting its atmosphere from harmful radiation. They don't know whether active volcanoes recycle nutrients across its surface. They don't know if plate tectonics shape continents as they do on Earth. These processes may seem ordinary to us, but together, they help make our own planet uniquely stable over immense periods of time. Without them, life as we know it might never have evolved. And yet, there's another fascinating possibility. What if Kepler 452b isn't Earth-like in the way we expect? What if life there followed an entirely different path? Perhaps its oceans are deeper, its atmosphere denser, its plants darker beneath the light of an older star. Perhaps evolution produced creatures unlike anything imaginable on Earth, not because nature is random, but because every world writes its own evolutionary story. That's one of the greatest lessons modern astronomy has taught us. The universe doesn't copy and paste planets. It creates endless variations. Every discovery reminds us that our imagination is often far less creative than reality itself. As telescope technology continues improving, scientists hope to study worlds like Kepler 452b in far greater detail. Future observatories may reveal whether clouds drift through its skies, whether its atmosphere contains water vapor, or whether subtle chemical clues suggest that something extraordinary is happening on its surface. Until then, Kepler 452b remains one of the most compelling mysteries in our galaxy. A world that has inspired scientists, challenged theories, and reminded humanity that somewhere beyond the stars, another Earth may truly exist. And if Kepler 452b has already changed the way we think about the universe, the next generation of discoveries could change everything. And perhaps that's the most extraordinary part of Kepler 452b's story. Not that we've found another Earth, but that we've reached a point in history where finding another Earth is no longer just a dream. Only a few decades ago, humanity didn't know if a single planet existed beyond our solar system. Today, we've confirmed more than 5,000 exoplanets. Every year, that number continues to grow. Some are larger than Jupiter. Others are smaller than Earth. Some orbit two stars. Others wander through space without orbiting any star at all. And among them, a handful stand out as possible candidates for worlds that could resemble our own. Kepler 452b was one of the first to truly capture the world's imagination. Not because scientists claimed it was inhabited. Not because anyone detected alien cities or mysterious signals. But because, for the first time, humanity could point toward a real planet orbiting a sun-like star and say, if another Earth exists, it might look something like this. That alone was enough to change astronomy forever. But Kepler 452b is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. Since its discovery, astronomers have identified many other promising planets. Each one teaches us something new about how worlds form, how atmospheres evolve, how stars influence the planets around them. Every discovery brings us closer to answering one of the oldest questions ever asked. How common is life in the universe? The next generation of telescopes may finally provide the answer. Future observatories will be powerful enough to study the atmospheres of Earth-sized planets in extraordinary detail. Scientists hope to search for oxygen, methane, water vapor, and combinations of gases that, on Earth, are strongly associated with living organisms. Imagine waking up one morning to headlines announcing that astronomers have detected a possible biosignature on a planet hundreds of light-years away. Not proof, but evidence strong enough to make the entire world stop and pay attention. It would be one of the greatest scientific moments in human history. And perhaps it won't happen decades from now. Perhaps it will happen within our lifetime. But even if Kepler 452b turns out to be nothing like Earth, its importance will never fade, because it proved something extraordinary. Our planet isn't the only rocky world orbiting within the habitable zone of a sun-like star. Nature can build worlds that, at least from a distance, resemble our own. And if it happened once, it may have happened millions of times. Somewhere in the Milky Way, another child may be looking up at an unfamiliar night sky. Another civilization may be wondering whether they're alone. Another blue world may be orbiting another yellow star, waiting, silent, unaware that a small civilization, more than 1,400 light-years away, has already discovered its existence. Perhaps one day, humanity will build spacecraft capable of crossing the enormous distances between the stars. Perhaps future generations will stand on the surface of planets that today exist only as tiny shadows passing in front of distant suns. And maybe one of those worlds will be Kepler 452b. Until then, it remains a symbol, a reminder that the universe is filled with possibilities far beyond anything our ancestors could have imagined. Every new telescope expands our horizon. Every new discovery makes the cosmos feel both larger and strangely more familiar, because the more worlds we find, the more we realize that Earth may not be a miracle that happened only once. It may simply be one chapter in a story the universe has been writing for billions of years. So the next time you look up at the stars, remember this. Somewhere among those distant points of light, a planet very much like our own may already exist, with its own mountains, its own oceans, its own sunsets, and perhaps its own life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey through the greatest mysteries of space. Because somewhere beyond the darkness, beyond the reach of today's spacecraft, another Earth may already be waiting, and one day, humanity may finally meet its cosmic neighbor.